Well, it's great. I love that president. He supports law enforcement, and I'm very humble. If you recall, 2 years ago, I supported him, and I said publicly recently, pardon or no pardon, I will be with him to the end.
Welcome back to Justice. I'm Lisa Booth. Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio was the grateful recipient of a presidential pardon last night. President Trump choosing a Friday night as a massive hurricane moved into Texas to make the announcement. And that's got some people upset, including House Speaker Paul Ryan, whose office issued a statement today saying, quote, law enforcement officials have a special responsibility to respect the rights of everyone in the United States. We should not allow anyone to believe that responsibility is diminished by this pardon. Here to talk about all of this and much, much more is Arizona Congressman Trent Franks. Hi, Congressman.
Hello, Lisa. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you being on. So I want to get your response to this, Congressman. You saw the statement from Speaker Paul Ryan. Senator McCain has also been critical of President Trump's decision to pardon the sheriff. What do you think?
Well, I think that Sheriff Joe should never have been prosecuted in the first place. There was an overwhelming bias in the Justice Department, the Obama Justice Department, who was hell-bent on convicting him no matter what they had to do. The judge that they used was a left-wing judge that ignored the witness of every witness in the trial contradicted the conviction. And you know, there is a large portion, Lisa, of the radical militant left in America that hold law enforcement and the military personnel of this country in contempt, because they see them as defenders of an American constitutional philosophy and way of life that the left despises. And the real injustice here was that Sheriff Joe was prosecuted at all. And I'm just grateful that the president had the courage to correct this injustice. You know, Sheriff Joe is 85 years old, and his wife Ava is desperately ill, and if she had to watch him go to jail, she probably would have seen him for the last time. And it's just outrageous when you consider the pardons and commutations of Mr. Clinton and Mr. Obama. I mean, we can go through some of those, but they were just unbelievable. So that the left has any comment at all here is amazing, yeah.
Right. And Congressman, another news item to drop on Friday night was Sebastian Gorka leaving the White House. I want to show you a quote from Sebastian that he gave, I think it was the Federalist. And that quote reads, regrettably, outside of yourself, the individuals who most embodied and represented the politics that will make America great again have been internally countered, systematically removed, or undermined in recent months. We saw something similar for Steve Bannon as well when he left, saying that that part of the presidency that he worked for is over. What are your thoughts? Is this a change in direction from the White House that people should expect, or what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I hope it isn't. Sebastian Gorka is a great hero. I think Steve Bannon is as well. These are men that have been maligned, again, by the radical militant left in ways that are completely unjust. And perhaps they feel like some of that injustice has come from some of their counterparts in the White House. I don't know the specifics there, but it is always incumbent on the president to make sure that his vision and the things that he ran on continue to be at the center of political discourse, because there are always people, for good reasons and bad reasons, that think that their own perspective is better than the president's. And I think that you know, sometimes the president may not always say things the way people would like for him to do, but if you listen to what he's really trying to relate and what he does, I think he has been very, very good for America, and I hope he is able to maintain his position effectively. And certainly the fact that he even appointed a guy like Sebastian Gorka or Steve Bannon was to his credit.
And Congressman, one of those items that you talked about that President Trump ran on, it was building the wall, issues like immigration. You were at the rally with the president on Tuesday night in Arizona. Obviously, immigration is a huge issue for you in your state. I want to play you some sound from the rally from President Trump, and I want to get your response about it.
Okay.
Now, the obstructionist Democrats would like us not to do it, but believe me, if we have to close down our government, we're building that wall.
Well, and we know that this debt ceiling vote is coming up in Congress. Some are saying that President Trump, is going to hunker down on building the wall as part of that. What are your thoughts? What's it going to take for you or for the Freedom Caucus to vote for an increase in the debt ceiling?
Well, keep in mind that the only reason that there's ever any discussion about closing down the government is because the president knows that the Democrats will probably continue to do as they've done and obstruct the process using the 60-vote rule for the motion to proceed to consider in the Senate. That means it takes 60 votes to even get a bill to the floor. And when it comes to appropriations, they simply say, well, we're not going to vote on the bill, we're not going to even debate it, much less amend or vote on it. And it makes it almost impossible for us to get anything done. It's not a matter of if they want to vote a certain way, great, but they keep us from even debating and amending the bill that way. And so the president wants to break that filibuster because he knows two things. He knows the Democrats are going to change it as soon as they're in power. And he knows that if his agenda is to receive any sort of vote or debate in the U.S. Senate, that rule has to change. And so I think that's what he's really talking about. And keep in mind, Lisa, on the wall, I stood behind George Bush in Scottsdale, I think back in 2006, when he signed the first border wall bill.
Which a lot of Democrats voted for, right, Congressman?
Right. Absolutely. It was a bipartisan bill. And now somehow, they make it sound like that Donald Trump is the guy that wants to wall off everyone, when really this was something that was almost a consensus in 2006, and I think somewhere over 600 miles of the wall have been built already. And so we really should have a rallying cry of finish the wall, not build the wall.
Go
ahead.
No, sorry, continue.
No, I think that it's, again, the left has this hell-bent conviction that they're going to do whatever is necessary to either discredit or take out Donald Trump, even though he's a validly elected president of the United States. And I hope that he keeps doing what he can. I hope he maintains his focus and does what's right. Thus far, I've been very thankful for his appointments, both to, I think Mike Pence is probably the finest man in American government. And that appointment alone was a tremendous confidence builder for me. But the appointment of Neil Gorsuch, some of the things that this president's done are foundational and basic to the future of this country. And I also like the fact that he was strong when it came to North Korea, when few other presidents really were. Well,
Congressman, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate your time.
Well, Lisa, appreciate being with all of you. You're always wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, another check on Tropical Storm Harvey. Adam Klotz with late breaking news on the storm's path. Plus, our political panel is next, and you're not going to want to miss it, so stay right there.